Hello, everybody. I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor, and welcome back to the Smart Performance Podcast. S for self-care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive problem solving, R for rhythmic operation, T for a thriving community, and P for performance. I'm really happy today to have Lara with me today, and we're going to talk about something slightly different. Often in leadership, we talk about how do we get to where, whatever our big dream is. But we have to remember that not everybody's, trip to the top, whatever your dream is the same. And it's really important, reminding for myself too, that I did a traditional way. I was a high school dropout. I came to the United States when I was 18. I was willing to take on any work, any job, anywhere. It was through my struggles that I learned how to become the person I am today. And that's the reason why I think mentorship has really strong benefits over working with a coach, because we come from deep personal experiences. But this show is not about me, it's about Lara. So thank you very much, Lara. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll bring some value to our listeners today.
Awesome. Well, my name is Lara Hamilton. I'm an IT director for eResources for their Help Desk Realty division. We support property management companies with their IT needs, their software support for their various platforms, and anything in between. Our company has all kinds of things that we offer, but my specific specialty is property management IT.
And of course, as we talked about, you didn't, go to college to end up in a job. You started off in the basement, proverbially speaking. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how that has benefited you. And of course, we're going to talk about some action and takeaways that folks who are listening to this, what they can do to go on this journey as well.
Sure. So I started out in not in IT at all. I started out actually working in restaurants like you do when you turn 16, you go get a job waiting tables and doing the things that you do. The next thing I did was I started a family, and for 7 years I stayed home with my kids. And in the meantime, I got involved in their schools, in their PTA, and sometimes the way I look at things is a little different, and I think that stood out. One of the things that I do is was able to do with them was I was able to visualize how we can get to a certain path if you provide um, a lot of information and a path of accomplishment within whatever your goal is. And so one of the things that we did on the PTA was we wanted to build a new playground. The playground was old and needed to be replaced, and it was going to cost about $100,000 to replace it. To do that, we visualized everything with all of the parents and made sure that they were aware of what we were doing, where the money was going, and that it would be completed before everyone left school for that year, so that it would be able to be seen by all the, and played on by all the kids. We were able to meet that goal in 6 weeks. So it was just kind of my beginning of what I would call being in management. Even though it was free, it was, unpaid, it was a volunteer position, it did give me a lot of experience and working with people, working in front of people, and getting people to work with you for something that was a common goal. Um, after 7 years, I went into the IT industry, but I started at the very bottom. Um, the job that I had was a wire tech for a bank, and they were doing things, writing things down on paper, doing things, everything manually. And one of the things I was able to do was to me, it was very not using technology to the best of its ability. And so I basically helped them work myself out of a job. And they saw the value of that, and so they moved me to another department so that I could do the same thing in that department and make it more efficient. And I worked my way through several departments doing that, just in helping them see technology for what it could be used for. And that path brought me to where I am today. It was a long goal. I had some mentors that I really worked with that I enjoyed and was able to learn from. I had some that were not so helpful. Some people that I crossed that weren't going to help me, wanted to see me fail. And so I had to really dig deep and decide for myself, was I going to win or were they going to win? And I'm just stubborn enough to really work hard, learn things that I was told I couldn't learn, and do things that my education did not give me the backbone of saying, hey, I can do this. So I had to really prove to other people and myself that I could do it, and it really worked out for me.
It is. Thank you for sharing your story there. I would, by the way, to go back when you had children, those 7 years, that was really your first management job,
Yeah,
because
it
that is not
was.
just being a great mom. That's also real work, right? It is that. It is. Some studies have actually shown that the value of a mom who stays at home with kids is valued about $110,000 a year. So don't underestimate the power of being at home and managing the household. It's almost like a manufacturing plant. It all needs to be done in a very efficient manner as well.
Yes.
So for the listeners, right? So people here, there are many, many different ways to reach your ultimate dream. And I always say, dream big, act small. It is people limit their dreams, their outcomes by limiting their dreams. And any road that is traveled straight is a road that you have missed out many, many opportunities for learning, as you described. So if you have a young person, let's say we have somebody who's listening who's a senior in high school or in college and not quite sure, what they want to do, right? We love spending $200,000 on a college degree in America with the kids saying, I'm not sure what I want to do. What is it that you would advise them to do? And how to go on that journey of self-discovery to find your niche, your area that you can truly feel happy and feel like you're contributing to society?
Well, I think that the first thing is when you're young, that's when you start really discovering things that you're good at. Whether you're a good baseball player or you're a good dancer or you're a good singer, those kind of things are can be pretty obvious when you're young. But as you get older, the world changes. Not just technology changes, of course, but the things that are available to young people today were not available to me at the age that when I was that age, because there were no we didn't Google things, we didn't have a lot of the technology that's available, a lot of and that not just in the IT world, but in all aspects of the world. I've had people ask me, where is AI gonna, how is that gonna eliminate jobs? And I am constantly telling people it's not. It's going to create different jobs. It's going to change the way you do your job. So try not to think inside of a box of, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I do, because those things are going to change over time, and be willing to grow with those things. And don't be afraid to step into something new that you've never done. Just have that grit to go through with it, because it's really it's never easy. And even if you have a degree, that doesn't mean that that's the path you're going to stay on. Many
Yeah.
people change their career paths in their 40s. And so you might go to school to be a teacher, and you might just realize that, okay, well, that was what I wanted to do at that time, and I was good at it then, but it also opened my eyes to other things that I can do, and be more successful or more fulfilled with.
That's really good advice. I think that people need to take a certain amount of risk along the way, and it is that making career pivots is not. Listen, taking some risk while you're in a job is a better risk than waiting to be without a job and not knowing where you want to go next, so to speak. It is, but hard work is the key, right? It is
Right.
using the technology available today to really explore what is out there. And I think that the word internships or volunteering, or working in your current role by exploring what else is available in the company. I use the individual development plan, or the 70-20-10 approach, that while you're in your current role, if you're hungry for something else, then start learning in your role to what is likely your next role, because that will
Right.
help you differentiate from everybody else itself. Um, what are your thoughts on what would you tell you when you were 15 years old, 16 years old? What would you have done different, knowing what you know today?
Wow. Um, if I could tell myself something at 16 again, it would be don't give up. Just keep going because it's there, it's coming. There are so many things that you do that you think you're not making progress. And I'll go back to when I waited tables. You think, well, I'm just waiting tables. That's, I'm stuck in this path, but you're not. You're learning how to work with people, how to handle stressful situations. Some of the best employees that we have hired have actually been people that we went to a restaurant and they waited on us, and I said that person has what it takes to move forward. They may not know it yet, but they do, and let's take them. Let's hire them. And we've done that, and they've been some of my best employees.
I think that is that's golden advice for any youngster out there today. And very much, I pointed out to my kids, right, is that when you go to McDonald's, any of it, it is all about customer service, right? Being that genuine, authentic self, and how can you make connections with people that will lead you to opportunities. I always take on some pro bono clients who got laid off and are unfortunate and really difficult, having a difficult time finding a new role, especially that 45 to 55-year-olds that once they leave the workforce, it's very difficult for them to get back into it. And I said, listen, if you cannot find anything, and go drive an Uber and drive that Uber from a busy airport to a busy business district. And every single conversation you have, every single ride you have conversations and bring your very best to the table. You never know who you're going to run into. You have to be creative. You have to motivate yourself. So thank you for sharing that insight. I would be amiss that if we don't dive into your IT background itself. Of course, with all of this scary AI looming, and you kind of alluded to that a little bit already. So from your perspective, right, what are leaders to do with AI, right? This kind of like we're in this transformational moment in time that we know about it. Are we interacting? Maybe we're using ChatGPT or Grok to answer some basic questions. But what else could they do or should they be doing to stay, to go along, right? And maybe even be on the leading edge of this?
One of the things is be very aware, and what I mean by that is if you're using ChatGPT, be very aware of what you're putting into it and what it's putting out back to you. You don't want to put proprietary information into those platforms because they do share it with the world. And I'll use KFC as an example. You have a secret recipe for your fried chicken. You don't want to put that in ChatGPT, and then somebody else is chatting, "Hey, I'd like to make my own KFC chicken. What's the recipe?" And then it shares that recipe. So be very careful what you're putting into these AI platforms because they are open source. Also, don't be afraid of it either. There are a lot of platforms that you can use that will, like Copilot, if it's a purchased license of Copilot, you can use that and use it in your internal environment. Our company is building AI platforms that only pull information from internal sources, so it's not open to the internet, but it is pulling in your own internal information. And also don't expect it to replace people. As I said before, AI is another tool that your people can use to make them more efficient, to be able to do other things, to where they're not staying up all night on a Friday afternoon, to get a job done, but they're able to also have work-life balance. But, we don't want to expect AI to be a replacement of people because it's just not going to be. No more than anything else has been. I don't think the internet or Excel or any of these things really replaced people. They just gave us a better tool to use to get the jobs that we're doing done.
It's simple, right? Trust, but verify.
Oh, yeah.
I want to highlight what you just said because I haven't heard this from anybody else, and I think it's very open sourced, right? Whatever you put in is now in the Ethernet somewhere for somebody else to grab. When I talk to people about, looking at job hunting, people love to plaster their CV into every job application out there. And they forget that every time you share your resume with somebody, that company now owns that resume for 12 to 15 months. No recruiter wants to work with you anymore because they can no longer make money because the company says, well, I already know this person because it's in our system. Therefore, I don't owe you anything. And I think any information that you put into the open platform, similar in nature, right? You have to be mindful about. It's interesting to see. I've not seen that so much in the from a HIPAA compliance standpoint, especially in healthcare, being very mindful what goes into that when you ask questions, not to open yourself up for any kind of liability. Never add patient information like names and date of births. You can ask questions, but don't identify it in any which way, form, or shape. All right. Any other insight that you have on action steps you would recommend people to take as they go on their career journey or in IT itself?
Learn and listen. I always say and to my children when they were young, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Listen to what people are telling you, and not just what they're saying, but what they're referencing, what they're. You will learn a lot from people just by listening to what they're saying and really understand their inflections and what they mean. And when someone is looking, like when I am looking for an employee, I'm investing in the person. It's not just about their knowledge, it's also about the person. Can they work well with others, with the team that we have? Do they complement the team? Do they bring something to the table personally, not just work wise, but are they going to be a cohesive employee and be looking for new ways to do things and we need people that can really use their minds and not afraid to take risks, but not willing to take risks with other databases or things like that. You know what I mean? So just be aware that when you are in a job that's not in IT, but that's your goal or that's where you want to go. And like you said with Uber, if you're an Uber driver, if you're a waitress, if you are a salesperson, whatever your job is, remember that those people that you're communicating with, you're selling yourself. You're not selling the product that you have, and they're looking at you and do they trust that person?
I think that Disney puts it best, right? That we are not just people there to wave flags and say hello. We're all actors on the stage. And you have to protect your personal brand wherever you go, especially if you wear a uniform or a badge so people can recognize you from where you are. But it really is how you present yourself, and every facet of life is something so very important. You cannot pretend to be one person and then do something else. Any closing thoughts, and where can we find you, Laura?
Well, closing thoughts, I would say just to put this out there because I feel like this is like in our culture that we really all need to consider is this also goes for when you're driving. When if you cut somebody off and you have this road rage and all these things, that could be the next CEO of the company you work for. So just remember those things. It's not just interacting face to face. It's interacting in your entire life. It'll make you a better person too. I feel like. And you can get hold of me at lhamilton@eresources.com. We have a website, helpdeskrealty.com, that you can go to also. And I'd love to hear from you.
All right, thank you very much for joining me today. Happy New Year. I was truly, it's good to see people share stories about a crooked road that still gets you to your dream as well. And my encouragement to you is to keep dreaming because you never know where that next journey will take you. To the audience, again, you have to take action in order to get different outcomes. No matter where you are in your journey, you do not need to do it alone. You can seek resources like Laura and myself, or others to help guide you from our deep personal experiences. I look forward to seeing everybody on the next show, and thank you very much for listening today. Laura, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.